We're not running a second long here today, Jordan. I want to go watch soccer. And we are live. Welcome to the NBA Strategy Show. It is Monday, November 21st. I am Josh Engleman. I am joined by Adam Scherer. We are brought to you by PrizePicks. We got a normal day today. 8-game NBA slate. 2 games lock at 7. 5 of them lock at 8. And then you get the late night hammer at 10:30. Should be a pretty good slate. So be sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you know when everything goes live. And watch some soccer today. World Cup is on right now. Once this show is over, go watch the rest of it, including the United States later today. Adam, how was your weekend?
It was good. Shout out DraftKings for giving me tickets to the Ravens game yesterday. Got down on the field, had a suite. It was a lot of fun. Met a couple people that apparently watch our shows. That was cool. Shout out to them. But yeah, no.
Like related to DK or just like being at the game?
In the suite.
Okay, gotcha.
So yeah, no, cool meeting people. Had fun. Kind of feeling it today, but you know, it was a good time.
Congrats on getting a steaming pile of shit game to watch for the first half at the very least. Good God.
I didn't play anything from that game except I had like 15% Carolina defense. And so we get there, I'm like, man, this is gonna suck. Like they're gonna score so many points and I'm gonna just be pissed off. And then like nobody's scoring. Well, this is exactly what I wanted, but also I played the Bills and other shit offenses, so didn't matter.
I had like 20% of Lamar and like 20 something percent of Andrews. So that obviously wasn't great. I just kept like, I'm looking at my lineups and I was like, I feel like things should be like, okay. And I'm looking at it and I was like, I really feel like I haven't seen a Ravens highlight in a minute. Like, that must be a 4:30 start or a 4 o'clock start. And then we find like something happened in the game that finally got it to switch to red zone. And I was like, it's nothing with like 2 minutes to go in the fourth or in the second quarter. It's like, oh my God, this is ridiculous.
Yeah, Lamar ran one in with a few minutes left, and that I think was like the only cool thing that happened.
Yeah, you sent me that message, and I was like, that's sort of like the one touchdown I don't really like. I don't have him naked, so that touchdown isn't as helpful. Like I needed him to give that to throw that to Kenyon Drake or throw that to Mark Andrews or something.
Speaking of Mark Andrews, like I've been at field level with NFL players before, so I know like that they're just all huge. Like even more than you would expect. But Mark Andrews in particular, like, holy shit, that is a big guy.
Monster of a human being.
Yeah, he was the one that stood out. Like, it was like, oh, clearly these guys are bigger than like they look on TV. But like Mark Andrews was just like, oh my God, that is just a massive dude.
And yet, for some strange reason, they had a lot of trouble finding that massive dude. That's the worst part, really. When I got that text from you and you were telling me about Mark Andrews, and it was just like, well, then throw it to the giant, man. Come on. What are we doing here? All right. You want to talk NBA for today?
Not really, but we can. I'm here.
That's fair. I mean, I would join you in getting out of here if I could. I would go watch, well, the end of this England-Iran matchup. Not exactly captivating, but
did Ecuador
Senegal
hold off Qatar yesterday? I saw they were up 2-0 before the game or before the football game.
I don't even remember what the final was for yesterday. It was only one game. Yeah, I think it was 2-0. I think it was 2.
They clearly were not very successful in paying off whoever they were trying to pay off.
No, they were not. All right, let's kick this one off. Dude, I had beers with Triple H in China once. I have so many more questions.
Yeah.
So many questions.
I actually know who those people are because I remember the PS2 game, like one of the best games, the like WWF PS2 game.
Were you not watching? Were you a wrestling guy like as a kid?
No.
Oh God, you missed out on everything good.
I thought that shit was dumb from the time I was like 6.
Yeah, you're dumb for that. You're dumb for that. I'm gonna send you a link to the post pay-per-view press conference from the new champ in AEW. You will, no doubt about it, love this dude. Even context independent to you. He's just, it treats everybody like garbage, talks shit the entire time.
But in
wrestling. Yeah. You'll love him. You'll love him. Jewish, so that'll really cross over well for you.
Really?
Yeah. Maxwell Jacob Friedman.
Is he related to the dude that just took all the money from FTX.
I don't think so, but who knows? But wait do you see? You're gonna be like, oh, I should watch this dude. Just constantly berating people, really creative, like just really good talker. It's the best part of it all. You'll love it. On his way out to the ring for the main event on Sunday, he motorboated a chick in the audience.
I just do that walking around. We're like the same.
All right. Atlanta Hawks, 2.5-point dogs in Cleveland, 224 total. For the Hawks, there's not much here. Bogdan Bogdanovic still not back, but he is imminent, which means that this is just standard issue Atlanta Hawks stuff. Highest owned guy on the DraftKings side is Trae Young at 9%. Highest owned guy on the FanDuel side is Clint Capella at 9%. Is there anything here of value other like that you would prioritize? Because to me, I just look at it and think, well, I guess I'm playing some of the starters randomly.
Yeah, that's how I see it. Nobody really getting ownership, and probably nobody should. Like, it's a healthy team. They're all more or less correctly priced. John Collins is really cheap, but John Collins also sucks this season. Like, just not interested in shooting the basketball, which hurts him in DFS. So like he's gonna fall into some lineups just because of that price tag, but I think he should be 5,600. Trae Young, DeJounte Murray, both where they should be. Okongwu works as a value option at 3,600, but obviously for him to actually have a good game, you need Capella to be in foul trouble or get hurt or something. Capella at 6,700 is up from where he was, and he's correctly priced now. So yeah, there's nothing that really stands out. It's just, obviously Trae Young is very good. DeJounte Murray is very good. Capella's averaging like 1.15 DraftKings points per minute. You're happy to get to those guys, but also they're not priorities.
Yeah, when I look at it, I don't know how to care about Atlanta. There's so many better spots today. There's potential for a lot of value in some other spots. So you're going to be able to get to Murray and Trae Young when you want, just because of some of the pay down options that exist. But I can't prioritize anything for Atlanta.
I remember that, Caleb. It was great.
On the Cleveland side, there's really nothing that we can do right now to have a conversation about this game. They played yesterday. They were without Kevin Love. They were without Dean Wade. Karis LeVert left the game with an ankle injury. So we don't have an injury report for Cleveland right now. I don't really have anything to add here. We have Jared Allen, relatively chalky on the DraftKings side and FanDuel side, 6,700 on DK, 6,900 on FanDuel. I think even like whether or not Kevin Love is in today, I think that we can say that Jared Allen does look like a good play no matter how any of this news breaks. But we can't really break down Cleveland until we get an injury report.
Yeah, agreed. Jared Allen at 6,700 is going to be a solid play regardless. But yeah, obviously depends on who is actually in for this team.
Yeah, and like much like Atlanta, you can always play Garland. You could always play Mitchell. These guys are going to show up, and their content, like who's in and out, isn't probably like all that important for them either.
Yeah, as long as one of them isn't out.
Yeah. But from a value perspective, I mean, we could be opening up Chetty or Okoro or Lamar Stevens or none of those guys if everybody is in. So it's kind of just one of those things that we have to just wait on. But the starters, the Mitchell, Garland, Allen trio, happy to get those guys no matter what kind of news we get, so long as they're in the game.
Agreed.
Christopher thinks this new video layout is terrible. I think it's the best one we've ever had.
Yeah, I'll say I was actually looking at it thinking I liked it.
Yeah, to me, it pops really well. The shared version where it's like a guy on each side with the sharing in the middle. I don't know if you've seen that piece yet, but I think that looks exceptional.
I don't think I have.
Jordan, I'm sure will switch to it at some point in time if he can, but if that's a different show, that's fine. There it is right there. So
okay, yeah, I like it.
Yeah, I think it looks great. Let's go to the Orlando Magic, 7-point dogs in Indiana, 226 total. Actually, before we hit that, Anthony with the super chat, how many lineups is optimal to try and win a GPP? The max that you're allowed to put in the contest.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, as many as you can.
Yeah.
Pay attention to the contest you're entering, because if you're not entering 150, and it's 150 max, there are pros that are, and you're like, you can still play those if you want, but you're at a disadvantage.
I would say that you probably shouldn't play a 150 max contest unless it's the like true lottery ticket contest, the Millie Makers, the 100K up top. if it's like a
Yeah.
150 max 10K up, like I would not
Yeah,
single
don't
bullet
play
those kinds.
Those are the hard. I don't even know why those like. I don't know why those fill. Nobody should be playing the like 150 max 10K to first, where everybody playing is a pro. Like
Yeah.
it's the worst tournament. But yeah, like if you just want to play 20 lineups and throw them into the 100K to first, like I used to do that back in the day and
Yeah.
had plenty of success with it. I'm sure it's harder now just because people have gotten better, but like you can do that. Those are the softest fields, but ideally you're just playing as many as you can.
Yes. If you're throwing random bullets into the large field stuff, go for it. Not my cup of tea personally, but I don't see anything wrong with that. But otherwise, you want to hit whatever the max cap is for that contest.
Yeah. Yeah. Ideally, you're maxing whatever you're playing.
For the Orlando Magic, business as usual for these guys, except for we still have a questionable tag on Wendell Carter Jr. We do get Gary Harris back. I put Wendell Carter Jr. in for today. If he's not in, then we're going to be going to Mo Bamba for sure. But I like most of the starters for Orlando. This is a great spot against Indiana. So whether you want to get to Franz or Suggs, who are both in the teens and ownership on both sites. If you want to get to Chumo Kiki for 4,600 on FanDuel, he's pulling some ownership. Happy to get to a little bit of Bol if you need to, regardless of the status of Carter, but looks better even if he's out. We're waiting on that Wendell Carter Jr. piece, but I'm happy to get to Orlando pieces. This just looks better than Atlanta and Cleveland.
Yeah, agreed. You know, you still have Banchero out, so there is increased usage to go around. If Carter is in, he is only center eligible on DraftKings, which sucks, but still a high upside option. But I think the guys you're going to get to most are Suggs and Wagner. They've become more expensive, but they both have MPE. They both are going to fit pretty nicely into lineups. They've both been around a fantasy point per minute without Banchero on the floor, but there's upside for them to do better as well. You know, they Wagner in particular, almost a 30% usage rate without Banchero out there, 20+% assist percentage, just hasn't really converted that into a ton of fantasy points, but the opportunities are there for him. He's playing 34, 35 minutes per game. Okiki's averaging around 32 minutes as a starter. Bol, I think, at 6,900 is really difficult to play if Carter is in, but if he's out, then there's more minutes available for him, and we know he's a good point per minute guy.
Yeah, the guy that I have that's popping the most for me on the DK side is Suggs at 6,300 with the dual eligibility. On FanDuel, if Carter's in, 7K, power forward and center. Like I'm going straight to Wendell Carter in this spot if he's able to be in. We do have him projected for 16% ownership, so I think that's about right either way. I am still interested in Bol on FanDuel, just because so much of what he does is from like a shot blocking perspective, and obviously that plays up on FanDuel. The only issue is just still center only, but I think he looks good at 5% ownership, regardless of Carter's status.
Yeah, it's just, you know, the playing time for him changes.
Yep, sure does. Oh, I mean, honestly, does it? I mean, he's just playing a lot now. I mean, there's more playing time, obviously, if Wendell Carter Jr. is out, but like I got him in for 30 minutes either way.
Yeah, but I think that's kind of like the most you can expect if Carter's in.
Yeah, I think that's probably fair. On the Indiana side, little bit uninterested, but certainly some pieces we can get to. It's mostly the starters again. It's the same lineup we've had forever. They don't have any Q tags or anything that matter. It's all of their prices have just sort of stabilized. If you want to go to Halliburton at 9,400 on DK, that's fine. 9,100 on FanDuel is pretty popular. 21% owned right now. Matherin's pulling a little bit of love. Jalen Smith getting some at 5,100 on DK. I don't see anything that I want to like go crazy to get from Indiana. It's just sort of, I would like the starters, I guess.
Yeah, it's a team I get to a lot. Screw Jalen Smith. He failed as chalk the other day, and I knew he would, and I still played him. But yeah, he's just the kind of guy where at this price tag, you're just going to get to him a lot because he's extremely volatile, but that's kind of a good thing in tournaments. Overall, he's averaging like 26 minutes per game over his last 10. He's about a fantasy point per minute guy. He's just going to look like a good option at 5,100. You're going to get games where he sucks, but you know, happens. Halliburton at 9,400 looks fine. Matherin at 5,700 looks fine. Turner's finally priced correctly. Not getting any ownership, so like I kind of like him in tournaments just because you know he's also extremely volatile. He blocks a lot of shots. Whenever you get guys with that defensive stat upside, it's pretty appealing. So I kind of like Turner now that he's not getting any ownership. But yeah, this is just a team that across the board they're appealing to get to. I don't think there's one guy that stands out as being great though.
Okay. Anything else you want to touch on in this matchup?
No.
Schedule for the rest of today. We have The NHL strategy show at 2 p.m. So that's in a couple hours. We've got the No House Advantage NFL show at 3 p.m. The No House Advantage NBA show at 3:30. Adam will be back for the deeper dive at 5 p.m. We have NBA Live Before Lock at 6. And then NFL Live Before Lock coming back at 7:15, taking you all the way up until NFL Lock for Monday Night Football. Hit that like button, by the way. 300 people in here, 50 likes. Going to be good. Boston Celtics.
Before you get into that game, I just want to make sure you're done with the ad read. Really good point in chat that neither of us mentioned in regards to that lineup, like how many lineups question. Yeah, if you aren't winning with like 3 lineups, you definitely shouldn't be playing 150. It like if you're like lineups 1 through 3 are not, if you're not building good lineups like 1 through 3, you're just gonna make your losses compound by playing 150. So that's also the caveat. Like, assuming you're a winning player, you want to be playing as many lineups as you can in a given contest. But if you're like still learning and trying to get there, don't just start playing 150 because like you're probably just gonna lose faster.
Yeah, I didn't want to answer the question. Assuming you're part of the 90% of people that don't win at DFS, you should not register for anything, but felt bad.
Well, I mean, you should play low stake stuff and not a lot of lineups until you figure out what you're doing. But like, yeah.
Boston Celtics are 6-point favorites.
Send me head to heads, either one.
For $1. Boston Celtics are 6-point favorites in Chicago, 227 total. For Boston, we're getting Marcus Smart back in this one. That is helpful, that's for sure. And the rest of Boston is available except for Robert Williams. And the rest of Boston is mostly uninteresting. You know, obviously you can get to Tatum or Brown, and that's going to be fine. Al Horford's 5,500 on FanDuel and has the power forward eligibility along with center. That's just going to be helpful from time to time. But this just looks a lot like Atlanta and Cleveland. There are no clear value spots that I think that we should be getting to.
Agreed. Boston just looks like they typically do when everybody's in. Jaylen Brown, the only guy pulling double-digit ownership, looks fine. Shooting guard, small forward, 8,500. I feel like I end up overweight on this guy pretty much every slate. He starts out really well, then he does nothing in the fourth quarter and pisses me off, but I'll probably do it again tonight. Tatum at 10-6. I mean, that's where he should be, but it also just makes him difficult to get to. Horford, center only. He is cheap, which is nice. Yeah, there's nothing that really stands out from this team.
Yeah, I was hoping you were going to keep going while I was trying to crack my back. Yeah, the guy that I like the most here on the FanDuel side is probably Jaylen Brown at 8,500. I think the Horford ownership is probably a little bit higher than I'm looking to get to. On the Chicago,
Jeremy Savage, those mini maxes are probably the worst way to learn. It doesn't matter what other people are playing. You're evaluating your own lineups and learning how to put 150 lineups together that look the way you want them to look. It doesn't like. You want to be playing against people that are just throwing random shit in, and that's great.
I would rather play in contests where people are putting in random shit than playing against pros that are not doing that.
Right. Yeah, and it's not like we're talking about like poker, where I mean, like poker, obviously you want to play against the worst players too, but you're not gonna like in poker, you're not gonna like learn how to beat pros by playing against idiots. In DFS, you can because it just doesn't matter. You're evaluating your own lineups. That's absolutely where you should be playing.
Absolutely, 100%. Can't agree more than that. For the Bulls, everybody's healthy that is normally healthy. It's just the standard issue Chicago Bulls rotation. No Lonzo Ball, that's it. Ownership is coming into Levine and Vooch. Levine on FanDuel in particular, 6,900 just looks good to me. But this is another team that's just putting out the same lineup that's out there every day. The prices have stabilized. I can't say anything about anyone specific on the Chicago Bulls outside of, I do think the $7,400 price for Vooch is too low. It's just center is weird. And then Levine, I think, is underpriced on FanDuel. What do you want to do with the Bulls?
Just kind of take random shots at these guys. The price tags have come down to a point where they're starting to get appealing. It's still really difficult on a night-to-night basis to like say, oh, this is going to be a Vooch game or this is a Levine game. You know, who knows? But they're at price points now where, you know, we'd seen them be expensive because Levine was out for a while. There are price points now where one of these guys is probably going to really destroy their salary more often than not at these prices. So 7,400 for Vooch, 7K for Levine, 7,900 for DeRozan. I like all of those. Levine's getting the most ownership, probably should be, followed by Vooch and DeRozan. Also, don't sleep on $3,900 Drummond. If Vooch gets in any sort of foul trouble, Drummond instantly becomes a really, really good option. So, yeah, all those guys just look pretty appealing.
Yeah, I tried to when I was doing the process show this morning, I saw that and I was looking at it and I was like, well, the Drummond price is the same thing as it was before. So at some point in time in the next 2 weeks, he is going to be a guaranteed lock to win someone a GPP because one of these days, Vooch is just going to lose some minutes and Drummond's going to step in and just absolutely nuke. So be ready for it because it is coming. How would you approach that if you were like a limited lineup player? Is Drummond just not ever going to be a guy you get to? You're just going to lose that slate?
No, that's kind of, I mean, and it's hard for me to say because it's been years since I was doing that. That's the kind
Yeah.
of spot that I used to like try and take advantage of.
Okay.
Because if I'm playing limited lineups, I'm at a disadvantage going in. So I'm trying to increase variance and volatility. And somebody like Drummond does exactly that. Like I would actually probably be more likely to play it saying like whenever we get the Drummond game, I'm going to win as
Okay.
opposed to the opposite.
You having fun in chat right now?
Fun's not the word, but yeah.
It's brutal to read, man. So brutal.
Yeah, like
I can't even.
if you're increasing volatility in tournaments where you're the favorite, you're just making bad decisions.
Yeah, it's. Wow, boy, I can't imagine like thinking the opposite there. I doubt it. Anything else for Chicago?
No.
On the Portland side, now we got something to talk about. We have actual actionable information. Damian Lillard going to be out for a minute or two. Still no Gary Payton. Those two guys are probably going to come back around the same time. And then Keon Johnson still out. So now we're freeing up some space here. Anthony Simons obviously going to be playing massive minutes. Big time usage bump for him being out. For Lillard to be out. I'm a little surprised to see the ownership on Simons right now. I don't think this is what it's going to be as we move forward. We've got more minutes for Justice Winslow to close. Nurkic now opportunity to close. I assume Shaden Sharp is stepping into a starting lineup, or at least someone is. There's a lot to go around now for Portland. What do you like?
Oh, I couldn't find their injury report. Yeah, everything. Like Lillard being out is just massive news. You're talking about 37 minutes, but you're also talking about so much usage, to go around. So, there's no ownership coming into this team right now. Like you said, that's going to change. $7,400 Simons is going to look good. Josh Hart looks better. Winslow looks better. Grant looks better. Nurk looks better. They are all, I'm not going to say correctly priced, but at least like reasonably priced. Like if Lillard were in, this would be a team where you're just kind of saying like, I don't want any of this. So there is that, and maybe that is why the ownership is relatively low. Like they're sort of correctly priced for Lillard to be out. They're just overpriced for Lillard to be in. But there's obviously increased opportunities here, starting with Anthony Simons.
Your assumption that Shaden Sharp gets the start here?
Sure.
Okay.
Like it could be my assumption is actually Winslow, but
okay. Closing lineup now, because we're obviously swapping out Dame for someone. Do you think it's more so like we're going to get Simons, we're going to get Grant, and we're going to get Hart in the closing lineup? That's for sure. Seems to me now that Winslow is now a lock instead of just going small. Do you think we're more likely to be seeing Shaden Sharp or Nurk? Because I think this is a really interesting decision point for Yusuf Nurkic now.
Yeah, so do I. Last game, the closing lineup had Eubanks, but he's Nurkic basically. Like it had a center. I think it's likely to be one of the two. I would guess that it kind of depends on how the game's going. If Nurkic is playing well, it's Nurkic. If Sharp's playing well, it's Sharp. It's probably one of those two.
What do you want to do with those guys right now? Like, is Nurk more appealing to you? Sharp is 3,800. Is that a spot you want to get to? Because he has been really bad.
If he's not getting ownership at 3,800, I'm interested. Right now we have him at sub 1%. That probably changes. And also, like, if other value opens up, then obviously he gets pushed back as well. But, it's interesting just because he could play more minutes. But, yeah, I don't know. I think I'm more interested in Nurk. Like his usage rate goes up without Lillard as well, and then now you can also potentially get more minutes.
I don't have these guys grading out as well as I thought I would. Like I do think Sharp is a little underrepresented, but I don't know by how much. We just have some sub 4K guys that we're going to talk about in a bit that just look a little bit better. The guys that I'm cornering the market on are Simons, Grant, Winslow, and then $6,300 Nurk on FanDuel on the off chance that he, like every extra minute that Nurk gets, you're feeling a lot. Like if he's in a closing lineup, 6,300 for him on FanDuel is something that I want to have a lot of. And right now we're only projecting 9% ownership, but I just want to get to Portland in general.
Yeah, agreed. Again, like their pricing on DraftKings though, I think is sort of where it should be.
Yeah, I don't think, like I said, FanDuel.
Yeah.
And then this one's really easy. On the opposite side for Milwaukee, we do get Pat Connaughton back. I don't think it's possible for Milwaukee to look worse on DraftKings.
Yeah, they've been a really unappealing team since Drew came back, basically. Giannis at 12-4. Obviously, you're happy to get there if you can, but that's really expensive. Lopez, 6,600. Drew, 8,300. There's nothing that looks very good here.
No, it's brutal. And it's the same way on FanDuel, although you are getting ownership to Giannis and a 6K Bobby Portis. Like that is a price tag that I think you should very happily get to on the FanDuel side. Not a priority or anything, but like you got to work them in. And the way that FanDuel works from a roster construction perspective, small forward, power forward Giannis at 11-3 is very clearly always an option to get to. But Milwaukee just looks downright bad today. Not that they're not good, but just, there's just not good DFS plays. Anything else from Milwaukee?
Nope.
Well, let's talk a little bit about PrizePicks, the presenting sponsor of this show. If you sign up at PrizePicks using the link in the description of this video, you will get up to $100 on your first deposit. They will just match it. So if you put $50 in, they're going to match it with 50. But if you put in 100, they will match with $100. You're picking player props. You're taking over-unders, put together 5. You'll net up to 10x your entry fee. I actually think they added a 6th as well. So if you want to make that go even bigger, you can. It is 6. Let me see. Do they have that up here on the screen? I think it's 25x now at 6. It's some big parlays together here. Or I don't know what they actually call them. We'll call them parlays in this case. You could do it for highlight, tennis, soccer if you want. The NBA, the World Cup is here. NFL. Adam and I are going to talk about the NBA in this case. We're going to talk about just real points. And we're going to talk about a couple guys that we've already touched on so far. Let's start with Jason Tatum, over under 27.5 points.
Give me a second. I still had NFL projections open.
Okay.
All right. How many?
27.5.
I like the over. We have him at 28.4, and we also have him at 35.5 minutes, and he plays more than that.
Yes, he does. I have him at 29.5. So I'm going to go ahead and easily take the over on Jason Tatum. How about Nikola Vucevic on the opposite side at just 14.5?
It seems really low.
I have 16.5.
Yeah, we have 15.5. I like the over there.
There's 2 good ones right out of the gate. Let's go back to Boston then. Final one, Jaylen Brown, 24.5.
I can't type.
24. I'm not shocked by. Yes, 24.5.
I like the over. Again, we have him at 35 minutes. There's a good chance he plays more than that, and we still have him at 25 too.
I got him at 26.1. So 3 straight overs. And I feel like you and I don't normally just snap overs, but like that looked good. I
typically try not to agree with you on anything.
That's fair. Would you like to move on to game number 5?
I would like to move on to game number 8.
So would I. I would like to move on to game number 8 as well. So I assume you're ready for game number 5. Heat, 8.5-point dogs at Minnesota, 216.5 total. And this one's fun because we don't have shit to talk about for this one. It's basically impossible. We have no idea what's going to be available for Miami. They played yesterday, and they were without Gabe Vincent, without Tyler Hero, without Jimmy Butler. Bam did make it into this one. We need an injury report. There's going to be a lot to like for Miami, depending on who's here. Basically, I think the easiest thing to say right now is we're probably going to like any starters for Miami unless everybody somehow happens to come back today. But I think Caleb Martin's price is fine. Kyle Lowry's price is fine. Max Strus is getting up there. Happy to get to Bam. Jovic is still interesting if everybody's out, but this is just, I don't really have too much to say. Duncan Robinson got hurt yesterday, so he might not be here for this one, but we just need an injury report. It's impossible to talk about.
Yeah, dumpster fire team right now, but obviously you're going, if they're shorthanded, you're going to like whoever's playing. Bam's going to look good at 8K. Center only, which, kind of sucks, but is correct. He's getting 11% ownership, looks fine. 7,200 for Lowry's fine. Martin, Vincent, Hero if he's in. Strus is expensive, but those guys all look just fine. It's going to depend on who's in or out. I think Bam is going to look good no matter what.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. All right. We can go to the opposite side where we have a little bit more to talk about, although from an injury perspective, it doesn't really open anything up. The Minnesota Timberwolves are fully clear from an injury report perspective, and they run the same rotation all the time. So like these prices have stabilized, but yet I do think they're a little bit more interesting. Edwards, Towns, Gobert, and Russell all at least 10% owned on both sites. You get Gobert at 6,600 on DK at 20%. I love that Gobert price.
Yeah, I've really liked Minnesota pricing in general recently. They're kind of like Chicago, where it's really difficult to say, like, this guy's going to have a big game today, and this one isn't. But the prices have just dropped on everybody, similar to how they have on Chicago. So now you're getting a $6,600 Gobert. He's pulling 20% ownership, but, the guy's averaging 32 to 33 minutes. He's about a 1.1 fantasy point per minute guy. He's going to look good. Anthony Edwards just sitting at 7,600. Russell's been playing a little bit more. He's sitting at 6,100. Like, Karl Anthony Towns obviously is a good play. So all four of them are just really appealing options, I think.
We're on the same page here. In particular about Gobert. Do you have a preference between Edwards or Towns or Russell here?
Whatever fits into the specific lineup. I would say, I guess I probably am likely to get to Edwards first, just because he's shooting guard, small forward.
Yeah. I asked because I have them all as like pretty close to similar relative to salary. So I didn't know if you had a particular lean. And on FanDuel, these guys are 10, 10, 9, and 10% owned. So like no separation at all between all of those guys. Anything from the bench here? Can you get to McDaniels, who's been playing a couple extra minutes now, or Kyle Anderson?
Probably not. Like, it's an 8-game slate. But like you said, Anderson is playing, 20 to 22 minutes. McDaniels has been playing a bit more. Not going to be any sort of a priority, but I could see them at least like landing in a lineup here or there if you're playing 150.
Okay. Let's go to game number 6. The Golden State Warriors are 5-point dogs in New Orleans, 229 total. I think they did play. Yes, Golden State played yesterday. So in theory, we don't know what their injury report's going to look like. We have not seen Klay Thompson play back-to-backs this year. They talked about Klay Thompson not playing back-to-back. So I don't have Klay in. Sort of makes it pretty easy to project these guys. I think Jordan Poole obviously looks a little bit better, 5,800 on DK. He is the guy pulling a ton of ownership. Steph has obviously been the most efficient player that's ever played basketball so far this season. It just absolutely insane. What do you like from Golden State here against the Pels with no Klay? Assuming no Klay.
Yeah, assuming no Klay, $5,800 pool, sort of just, I'm not going to say free square, but looks like a free square. He looks really good. He's pulling 22% ownership, as he should. Curry's pulling 14.5%. Makes a lot of sense. Rebounding better this year, in addition to being the most efficient player ever. So it makes him look better. And then also, just playing more minutes now because Golden State's bench sucks. So Curry and Poole look like the priorities. And then, mixing in some Draymond, some Wiggins, some Looney, all of that's fine. But the priorities here, assuming Klay is out, I think are Curry and Poole.
Okay. I like Draymond for 5,800 on FanDuel. He's 6,100 on DraftKings, just power forward. FanDuel, you get the cheaper price tag and you get power forward center. So I think he's a little bit more viable there than he is on DK, but not sort of anything that I want to go crazy for. It's just so much easier to get the pool for 5,800.
Yeah, Vic, David, Figueroa, same. I feel you. Play guys that are value and they bust, and then play stars and they bust, and you never get them in the same lineup.
Didn't Steph sit out the last back-to-back? No.
I don't think so.
He didn't. He didn't. And I wouldn't expect him to. If he's sitting out a back-to-back, they're punting because
Yeah, if he's sitting out, they're probably just doing the thing where they just sat everybody because
which is what they did the back-to-back before that.
Right.
Was the Friday where they sat Curry, Wiggins, Clay, and Draymond.
Right. Yeah, like if Curry's resting, you're just losing, so you may as well sit everybody.
Yep. Dre and Poole still beefing. I mean, I'm sure Draymond doesn't care.
Yeah.
He won, man. Poole probably wants to get one back, but I don't think Draymond can give too many shits at this point.
Yeah, I would guess Poole's keeping his mouth shut now.
Yeah, because it's wired shut. On the Pelicans side, we are finally getting Zion Williamson back here. So he is available. We have a Q tag on Trey Murphy, which if Zion is in, it's probably irrelevant. We don't have any real ownership coming to these guys. And the ownership that is coming in is 8% to CJ McCollum. But I like Brandon Ingram and Zion here more than I like CJ. What do you, and like, not that I don't want to get to CJ, but what do you want to do with the Pelicans here against a Warriors team whose defense isn't very good? And this is a pace up spot for the Pels.
Yeah, it's a really fast, Golden State team, but also the salaries here are kind of like on Ingram and McCollum, they're pretty much set for Zion to be out. And so if Zion's back, they're a little bit overpriced. It is offset a bit by the matchup, but I don't think anything really stands out. I'm just happy to get to whatever, Zion, CJ, Ingram I can, but
yeah,
I don't think at their respective prices on DraftKings anything looks great.
Yeah, like I don't have them as any sort of priorities. I just had Zion and Ingram grading out a little bit better. In particular, like Ingram looks good to me. He's a shooting guard small forward at 7,900 on FanDuel. That's certainly a price tag that I'm interested in and an MPE that I'm interested in. And I just like the spot. I'm surprised to see Golden State being as ass as they are. I think it's much ado about nothing, and they're going to be a juggernaut once they get to the playoffs and start cutting this rotation. They make a trade or two at the deadline, and once you can just play all the really good guys that are dominating when they're out there more, that I think they're going to be fine. So
this like screams Larry Nance matchup too, but like him and Joe Val have been averaging like 24 minutes per game when they're both active. He's 4,800, probably priced where he should be, but certainly not the game where I would expect Joe Val to overtake Larry Nance in the closing lineup.
No, this isn't the one.
Yeah, no.
Do you go 24-24 on these guys with like that's just your standard?
Yeah.
Same. Okay. I don't have anything else for the Pels here.
Me neither.
Guys, got a little bit of a deal for you. Soccer time. World Cup is on right now. Well, technically there's not a game on. There will be one on in 19 minutes, which means I need to late swap my lineups. Isn't it great when there's a 3-game slate and your most exposed guy isn't playing in the second game? So you're late swapping 67% of your lineups. That's always fun.
That's what you get for playing soccer, man.
Full overlay on FanDuel, actually. They are paying me a little bit to be in that contest for today.
Could not pay me to watch soccer or play soccer or do anything related to soccer.
You are so mistaken. It's insane. I kind of want to get... We need to go to a game.
I mean, I remember I was like visiting the college I ended up transferring to when Landon Donovan in 2010 had the goal. That was really fun. Like I remember being in like the cafeteria at the college and everybody's watching the TV and like it was cool. It was fun. It was soccer. I don't give a shit.
The worst. Absolute worst. Mark Curry said Mane. No, he is out for the World Cup, unfortunately. So Senegal is going to get bludgeoned by the Netherlands in 18 minutes, which is a shame. But anyway, you guys can bet on these games if you're interested. If you're in a legal betting state, Adam, you will be this person shortly, I believe. If you're in a legal betting state and you haven't signed up at BetMGM yet, click the link in the description, head on over, make a deposit, put down $10 on any one of the World Cup games. When you do that, as long as there's a goal scored, not by your team, not even by the opponent, by anybody in the day, you will get $200 in free bets from BetMGM. You cannot get anything better if you're trying to start off a bankroll. This is the spot that you want to be, so go check it out. Game number 7 of 8. The New York Knicks. This one's fun. The New York Knicks, 2.5-point dogs in OKC. 230 total. That is the biggest on the slate. On the Knicks side of this one, they played yesterday, so we don't know their rotation, but they didn't have Cam Reddish. If Cam Reddish is out today, we got 32 minutes of Quentin Grimes and he didn't play any of the blowout run. He's the flat 3K shooting guard small forward on DraftKings. He's the flat 3K 3,500 shooting guard small forward on FanDuel. I want all of the Quentin Grimes if Cam Reddish is out today.
Yeah, agreed. Like they basically just did they played the rotation that they had been playing just with Quentin Grimes in place of Cam Reddish, and at minimum salary that's going to look good. Like he's not a great point per minute guy, but minimum salary, shooting guard, small forward. If Reddish is out, just give me Grimes.
Yeah, that's the no-brainer of all no-brainers, right? Like he's the first cash game play, flat minimum starter with shooting guard, small forward. Like you can't go a different direction, right?
And he's probably playing 0 minutes if Reddish plays.
Yeah, it's insane. And I'm happy to get to other parts here of the Knicks, whether that's RJ Barrett at 6,100, who's getting a ton of ownership. Emmanuel Quickley's minutes have been up a lot over the past few games. He's 4,500. He's getting owned. Clearly, you can always get to like Randall and Brunson, whose minutes are oddly light over the past like week or two. What are you doing with the rest of the Knicks?
I don't think much really stands out. I mean, Barrett at 6,100 looks good, but also the dude sucks. Emmanuel Quickley's been playing more. He's 4,500. He's also getting 18% ownership. So I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of playing backup guards at 18% ownership, but with their condensed rotation, he is playing more. You know, you should get 25, 26 minutes. Brunson looks fine at 7,100, but he's probably playing 32, 33 minutes. The rest of those 48 going to Rose. So yeah, I don't know. I think like Barrett, Quickly, Brunson all look reasonable. Randall's reasonable, but the first three are getting ownership and probably a little bit more than they should. Randall's not getting much ownership, but he's also priced where he should be.
Do you have any interest in Cam Reddish if he's in?
As like a last guy in kind of thing. He's 4K. He's probably playing like 35, 36 minutes if he's in. He's not a great point per minute guy, but that's a lot of minutes for that price tag.
Sure is.
Kevin said that quality soccer is beautiful to watch. Like, sure, but you could also watch anything else and it's like more beautiful.
My recommendation to you, seriously, is to check out when we get to like the final 8 in the World Cup. And I'm like, hey, watch this one. This will be
I've watched World Cup soccer. Like, I get it. It's whatever.
Well, yeah, but now you can put some skin in the game, do like a showdown contest or something to sweat while you do it too.
Yeah, cool. I can have money on the line while they don't score goals.
How did you enjoy that nothing Ravens Panthers game yesterday where no one scored anything?
Cup and give me a suite with free alcohol and I'll have fun. Just like I did at the Ravens game.
But you would watch that football game before you would watch a soccer game, and that was equally as ass.
And to be clear, I don't enjoy the NFL either.
Okay.
But I would watch that way before I would watch soccer.
You're crazy.
All my best friends were like soccer players in high school too. Like I'd go to like our, championship games and stuff. The girls on the soccer team were hot. I'd go to theirs. Like, but yeah, no, didn't enjoy any of it. Just the worst sport in the world.
You ready to talk about Oklahoma City? Because this is incredibly important.
I'd rather talk about soccer than Oklahoma City.
No, because you're going to have to play a shit ton of OKC today because they have no Poku, no Trey Mann, no Baisley, no Isaiah Joe. Per the injury report, Jeng, Jalen Williams, and Omer Yuri are with the G League team, which means they have 9 bodies today. They're all playing. We have 20% ownership to Shea, 30 to Giddy, 20 to Dort, 24 to Jalen Williams, 21 to Kenrich Williams, 14 to Wiggins, 17 to Lindy Waters. You get ownership going to Jeremiah Robinson Earl, who I think is underrepresented. Even Muscala is getting a little bit of ownership. It's a pace up spot against the Knicks. This whole team looks decent today.
I might actually go out and watch soccer today just so I don't have to play this slate with Oklahoma City.
I figured.
Yeah, I mean, if those guys are actually in the G League, then Oklahoma City is really appealing because they don't have options for the weird rotations that we've seen. So pretty much everybody should get ownership. Jalen Williams at 4,300 is going to look good. Kenrich Williams at 3,200 is going to look good. Dort at 5,100 is fine. We know SGA and Giddy are always good plays. Wiggins and Waters are going to need to play more. You mentioned Robinson Earl, Muscala. Like, yeah, you should just be getting this whole team as long as we don't get an updated injury report later that has like Jang and the other Jalen Williams back with the Thunder.
Yeah, that's the only thing that could slow you down here is if they have the ability to play anybody else. Because for right now, you're looking like you have to get to most of this team. So let's talk about them because like Shea just looks good because he's Shea. Giddey and Dort have the ability to play a couple extra minutes now if they're going to be a little bit thinner. Do you have individual guys when you see this? Like, do you have anybody that stands out to you most? Because I'm interested in Jeremiah Robinson Earl at 3,600. He played 27 and a half minutes on Friday. If he's getting that sort of run at $100 above the minimum, I'm shocked that he's 9% owned.
Yeah, I was gonna say I really like that price tag on him, and we've seen him play big minutes occasionally. It's just that you can't rely on that when Oklahoma City's at full strength because they just do random shit, and you have to live with it. But if they're only gonna have 9 guys, to me, $3,600 Robinson Earl looks very good, and so does a 3K flat Mike Muscala. He's a good point per minute guy.
Yeah, there's a lot to like here, and I did not want any part of that when I started looking at it. But as I was breaking it down on the process, I was like, shit, like I don't think they have a lot of guys. And I was like, this is the team that has all of the guys, but right now they don't have them. It's very, very, very interesting to see. So I hope that everybody is paying attention to what's going on here, because for right now, I think it is essential that you're playing a lot of Oklahoma City. My only final question for you for OKC is this. What would you do from a groups scenario for this team?
Probably nothing.
Okay.
Like they just play random rotations. Like if you wanted to do max one of Muscala, Robinson, Earl, then fine. That's kind of the one that I'll probably do. But other than that, I'm probably just gonna play them however they fit in.
Okay. Well, let's close this out. Final game of the night. Thank you guys for being here. By the way, 462 people in here, 96 likes. Hit that thumbs up if you can. Yeah, I'm not offended. I just think Adam's dumb.
You're the one that watches soccer, man. You spend your Saturday. Your Saturday revolves around soccer.
Yeah, it must be so terrible to wake up and go to the bar. I wonder who would ever want to do that.
I mean, I could do that, but there's going to be soccer on, so I don't.
Yeah, I know. It's incredibly fun. Incredibly fun. Utah Jazz are 4.5 point
I did it
dogs.
once by accident. There was just weird people yelling at the TV, and
well, stop going to West Ham bars. That's your problem.
The one I
find the Liverpool bar and go there.
I'll say I don't know. I'm sure there is. There's probably a Liverpool bar around. I think there's like Arsenal bars.
Yeah. I mean, there's unquestionably a Liverpool Baltimore bar. There's just no way around that. But where it is a completely different question. Jazz are 4.5 point dogs at the Clippers. They were able, the Jazz were able to dodge a true disaster. Mike Conley hurt, but not long-term hurt. We have no Rudy Gay here. We saw Talen Horton-Tucker get a ton of minutes after Conley went down. You didn't see them going as much to Colin Sexton. So let's just start with the piece of what is replacing Mike Conley, because we have Talen Horton-Tucker 13% owned at 3,700, shooting guard, small forward eligible. We have Colin Sexton, basically the same, slightly more expensive, different positionality. I love Talen Horton-Tucker here, especially at that ownership. What do you want to do with THT, or is it a Sexton day for you?
Yeah, I mean, THT at 3,700 looks pretty good. He is pulling some ownership, but he's been a solid point per minute guy. No Conley should probably mean Colin Sexton in the starting lineup. He's 4,400. He's going to look great if he starts. Like you can assume he's playing a ton of minutes. That's what we saw the last time that Conley was out. Kind of surprised that Sexton's only pulling 17% ownership right now. Same. To me, it kind of just seems like if he's coming off the bench, then maybe the 17% makes sense. But if he just fills in place of Conley, I don't really see why he wouldn't be like 1,000,000%.
My assumption is that it's going to be THT moving into the lineup and not Sexton, but why? I don't have a great feeling for it, just based on the way that they ran it on Saturday. Like, I'm surprised we didn't get more Sexton in that case already. So I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, like THT did play 31.5 minutes. He did sub in for Conley. The last time Conley was out, we saw Sexton start, and that was when Sexton had still been limited. And then he just started and played like 32 minutes or something. So yeah, I mean, I think it's Sexton unless he somehow is just like completely fallen out of favor in Utah.
Well, I think they like Beasley now more than Sexton, and that's sort of like the block for him.
Yeah, but like Beasley can keep his bench role where he closes over one of Olynyk, Vanderbilt.
Yeah. I mean, this is This is a Utah team that is like baked in Boston, where you're trying to get like longer, more athletic type wings onto the court. Like, I think they would probably want it to be THT
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it should be.
because it's gonna be Clarkson at the point guard spot, and then I think we get THT. I don't know. Either way, I like them both. Either way, no matter what, there's still now 30 minutes to go around, and it's not like this team's super deep.
Yeah, regardless, they're going to look good. But if Sexton starts, just play a lot of Sexton. That ownership should come up. If THT starts, play a lot of THT. That ownership should come up. Right now, it just kind of feels like the ownership is like, I don't know, like having it. You know, like whichever of these guys starts is going to be more popular than they're projected to be, and they should be.
Yeah. Okay, we're on the same page there then. Let me just not that anything else is happening while I'm on this show, but I am going to go ahead and upload my new soccer lineups. Soccer, the best sport that you could possibly play. Soccer. That's my promo. But we're late swapped. We're good to go. I have a live one actually, so that should be pretty fun.
What?
I have a decent starting soccer lineup so far after the first game. There's a game at 8:00 this morning.
Oh, okay. I was like, how? I thought like lock was right now. I was like, how do you have a live lineup? Like,
No.
I know
8:00, 11:00, 2
lineups,
o'clock.
but like you actually know going in that you have dead ones.
Come on now. By the way, yeah, USA plays today. If that does interest you at
What
all.
time?
2:00.
Yeah, maybe I'll get my videos out early and go to the bar.
There you go. They play Wales. Just in case you care.
I assume we're supposed to win.
It's like a coin flip. It's the most important game we have.
US soccer sucks.
Well, now Wales isn't bad.
Okay.
So like we're in a group with England. The winner, if someone wins this US Wales matchup, they're like really set up to be able to move forward.
This is why the sport sucks. You just said if someone wins.
Yeah.
Yeah. Stupid. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm all for draws. They should happen way more in more sports. They shouldn't even play extra innings in baseball. That's insanity.
Yeah. Anyway, finish explaining why this game matters.
So if either one of these teams wins, they're like the chances of being able to move through to the final 16 are massive because of the way that the rest of the group is set up. So like we are playing the most important game in our group right out of the gate. Some people would say that the most important matchup that we have is against England. I find us to be not as good as England, so I assume that we get cracked. But England is also a completely different story. But the matchup between us and Wales is like a true coin flip. It's pretty interesting.
Yeah, maybe I'll watch it.
You should.
If I do, it'll make for an interesting deeper dive.
There you go. Because you'll be drunk.
Yeah.
Yeah, and now England beat the pants off of Iran today, so goal differential starting to help. Clippers here. We are still without Luke Kennard. Paul George is questionable, which is obviously massive. We have Kawhi Leonard still at 7,700 on DraftKings and unplayable. 6K on FanDuel. Unfortunately, he is playable. I don't really know what to do with Marcus Morris at 5,200 on FanDuel either. Are you getting to the Clippers? Because they look pretty bad on DK outside of maybe Zubats.
Yeah, I mean, Kawhi coming back obviously throws a wrench into things. The pricing isn't great. Morris is up to 6K. Zubats has been playing a good amount. Played 39 minutes 2 games ago. Only played 24 minutes last game, but that was a huge blowout win where he didn't play in the fourth quarter. You're probably getting like 30 to 32 minutes from him. There's not much that I really like here, though. I think the pricing is pretty much where it should be. Nothing that really stands out.
Well, I don't think I have anything else to talk about at this point. I think we're kind of where we need to be.
To answer Stephen Leibowitz's question, I would clearly rather go to a bar than go to Qatar.
Yeah, you're not allowed to drink at the games during the World Cup.
Yeah, I told you the other day. So I was at a bar and there was a guy that played like semi-pro soccer in England. And he's from England, and he was telling me how like Green Street Hooligans didn't go hard enough, basically, like it didn't do justice to how things are over there. But he was like, I've gone to like all the World Cups. He was like, I'm not going to this one because I'm pretty sure they have no idea what they're getting themselves into from a security standpoint, and it's going to be like actively dangerous to be a fan there. He's like, so I'm just not going. But yeah, it'll be interesting.
It will indeed. Well, we're gonna get out of here. That's the end of this one. Adam will have injury report and GPP videos out in a bit and be back for the deeper dive. Good luck tonight, everybody. Enjoy yourselves. Thank you for being here. Hit the like button on your way out the door, and we'll talk to you later.